There is a certain kind of person who owns something old, worn, and completely unfashionable, and feels absolutely no urge to change it. Their car is not new. It does not turn heads. The paint has stories written into it by years of sun and rain. The engine hums in a voice so familiar they no longer even hear it. And yet, every single morning they climb in, start it up, and drive away without a single thought about replacing it. Most people would call that stubborn. Some would call it frugal. A few might even call it sad. But what if it is none of those things? What if that person has figured out something the rest of us are still desperately chasing? We live inside a system designed to make us feel incomplete. Every advertisement, every social feed, every conversation about what someone just bought, all of it whispers the same quiet lie, that who you are is reflected in what you own, that newer means better, that upgrading yourself and upgrading your possessions are somehow the same act, and most of us believe it, not because we chose to, but because we were surrounded by it for so long that the belief stopped feeling like a belief. It started feeling like reality. So we trade in cars that still run perfectly. We replace phones with no cracks in the screen. We renovate kitchens that cook food just fine. And with each replacement, there is a brief electric feeling, a small surge of something that almost resembles joy. But it fades. It always fades. Psychologists have a name for this, the hedonic treadmill. The human mind adapts with extraordinary speed to new circumstances. The new car smells wonderful for 3 weeks, then it simply smells like your car. The excitement dissolves, the baseline returns, and somewhere on a screen or a billboard or in a friend's driveway, the next thing begins to glow. The person who has driven the same car for 12 years stepped off that treadmill, maybe intentionally, maybe without even realizing it. But at some point, the chase simply stopped, and something else grew in the space the chase left behind. Here is what most people miss about someone like that. Keeping something for 12 years is not passive. It is not laziness wearing the costume of practicality. It is a daily, quiet, almost invisible decision to say, "This is enough." And in a culture that profits from your perpetual sense of lack, saying "this is enough" is one of the most radical things a person can do. Think about what 12 years actually contains. Think about the texture of that time. The person drove that car through different versions of themselves. There was the version who first bought it, younger, with a different set of worries and a different image of the future. Then the version who sat in that same driver's seat during a phone call that changed everything. The version who drove home in silence after a loss. The version who laughed so hard at something a passenger said that they had to pull over. The car was there for all of it. Objects hold memory in a way that is difficult to explain, but almost impossible to deny. There is something in the weight of a familiar steering wheel, in the particular sound a specific door makes when it closes, that reaches past logic and touches something older and quieter inside us. Neuroscientists who study memory and sensory experience confirm that physical objects associated with significant emotional events can trigger vivid, detailed recall far more powerfully than photographs or written records. To throw that away for a newer model is not just a financial transaction, it is the erasure of something, a disconnection from a version of yourself that can never be fully recovered. And the person who keeps the car understands this, even if they could never explain it in these terms. Something in them resists the erasure. Now consider what this says about how they are built on the inside. Research into what psychologists call internal locus of control reveals a consistent pattern.
People who believe their choices shape their lives rather than external forces, trends, or social pressure are significantly less driven by comparison. They are less likely to make decisions based on what those decisions signal to other people. They are, in a profound sense, less available to manipulation.
The person still driving their 12-year-old car has a strong internal locus. They are not asking the world what they should want. They decided what they want, quietly, a long time ago, and the world's opinion on the matter simply does not hold much weight. This is increasingly rare and increasingly valuable, because here is the uncomfortable truth sitting beneath all of this. Most of us replace things, not because they have failed us, but because keeping them has started to feel like an admission that we are not rising, not signaling progress, not performing the correct version of success for whoever might be watching. We have confused motion with meaning. We have mistaken acquisition for growth. And somewhere in that confusion, we lost the ability to simply be somewhere, with something, without needing it to be different. The person with the old car has not lost that ability. They never traded it away. And this extends far beyond the car itself. Watch how this person operates in other areas of life. They tend to stay in friendships longer. They invest in skills rather than shortcuts. They are comfortable in silence. They do not need the conversation to be constantly stimulating to feel that it has value. There is a quality of settledness in them that has nothing to do with giving up, and everything to do with having genuinely arrived somewhere internally, a place most people are still searching for in the next purchase, the next trip, the next upgrade. Our grandparents would not have found any of this remarkable. Caring for what you have, using things until they could no longer be used, finding familiarity to be a comfort rather than a cage, this was simply the texture of ordinary life not very long ago. It is only in the last few decades that contentment became something to be suspicious of, something that needed to be explained or defended. We reversed the burden of proof. Now you must justify why you have not replaced something. The default became disposal, and in that reversal, something important was quietly lost. So the next time you see that car, weathered, loyal, carrying its years without apology, do not pity the person behind the wheel. Do not assume you know what they cannot afford or what ambition they have failed to reach. Consider instead that you might be looking at someone who broke free from something most people do not even recognize as a cage. And then ask yourself the question that actually matters. What are you replacing in your own life, not because it has stopped working, but because you have been persuaded, slowly and expertly, that wanting something new is the same thing as becoming something more? And what might you find if you stopped replacing long enough to truly look at what you already have?